we are going to be discussing regarding this business economics and financial analysis. This is the concept where in any university, any of the organization, any of the BTech students are all required this particular subject because they should know what is going on in the organization as an employee or an employer. Somebody maybe wants to become an employer or somebody may wants to become an employee. Whatever it is, they should know how these organizations are all running, whatever the branch it is, irrespective of the branches. It is mandatory that every person should have the knowledge on the business environments as well as the financial aspects in that particular element. So that's why we are going to be discussing regarding this business economics as well as the financial analysis. Before going to say this one, whatever the concept it is, first if we know the basic things, then it is very easy for us. And first thing is economy and economics. The difference between the economy and economics is, economy means having the maximum utilization of the resources is called as the economy. In our day-to-day life, we are all using the products and we are all rendering some goods, services and everything we are using, but we should know where these are all coming, because so as we may be professional at producing one product. For example, I am the one who is good at producing giving some lectures, and I'm providing a service. For this one, whatever the amount which I'm earning, that will be transferable to the other persons, and I'm getting the earning some money from with that money I'm earning the other aspects, other goods and services which I have required. So same way, we are all not professionals at producing all type of goods, all type of services which is useful for us by our own. We may be professional at one product, another may be professional at another one. So all these are all going to be discussing producing by the people, and they are all exchanging together. In this exchanging, the wastage should be reduced, then only we can use the resources very effectively. So that's the concept of the economy, where the Aryabhatta first coined this economy concept only to utilize the maximum utilization of the resources. Okay, what is a resource means? Anything which is useful to satisfy the needs, wants, desires of the persons is called as the resources. So the resources, okay, we can see this one, resources. So resources is the anything which is going to be beneficiary for the which is going to satisfy the needs, wants, desires of the people. That's the resources. So these resources are unlimited, means no, they are all limiting. By our usage, they are all reducing. So that's why this economy concept is coined. So this economy means maximum utilization of the resources. So that is the concept of the economy. Then studying of this economy is called as economics. That is, economics is the concept of studying about economics. That means how to manage the resources, how to utilize them properly. That is all about the economics. Then any person who is studying this economics is called as the economist. The person who is studying about the economics is called as the economist. And somewhere we have listened that why are you thinking in an economical way, means they are all thinking in a conservative way, effective utilization of the resources. So that's why even if we see in this motor bikes also, we can see this speedometer. The speedometer will give us the knowledge about the how much fuel we are consuming and how much distance we are giving, and what is the economy speed. We can see this means with that speed we can have the effective utilization of the petrol in our bikes. So that is the importance of the economy in our day-to-day life. Everywhere, every part of this life depends on the economy, and every business aspects requires this economy for the effective utilization of the resources which they have. They have to utilize the manpower effectively, they have to utilize the raw materials effectively, technologies, funds, everything. They are all, if they want to get the maximum profits, then they have to use this economy concept in their business life. That's why we are going to be discussing regarding this economics. And especially this has came from the Greek word oikonomia, which means household management. Then it has become applicable to all the organizations and the institutions. However, society will require the goods and services to satisfy their needs, wants, and desires. For all of this one, there is a requirement of the economy. And if the especially if these economy concepts implements for any organization, that implementation is called as managerial economics. And if this economics is going to be using by any households, then household economics. If it is there, if the economy concept is going to be using by the any state economy, by the country economy, by the world's economy. So that means how many goods they are producing, how many services they are rendering, and how they are all exchanging, how much of benefit they are getting in a state wise, in the country wise, in an organization wise, in a house wise. There will be segregation and there will be records this data, that is called as the economy. Especially in this business economy and financial accounting, we are going to be discussing about the economy concept that is applicable to the management, means that's a managerial economics. Then once if we see this definition of this one, then that there is an integration of the economy theory with business practices for the purpose of facilitating decision making and forward planning by management. Which means, so what is the purpose of this economics? They need to take best decisions. Can I proceed with this particular product or not? Is this product is having the demand outside or not? Is this product will get the maximum benefit from maximum profits from the market demand or not? Has to take the better decisions. So not only this one, n number of decisions has to take in an organization. All has to keep it with the mind of the profitability. If the profitability has to come, then it is depends on their economical decisions only. That economical decisions are all based on the economy. So that's why it is an integration of economy theory with. So how it is combining two elements. One is the economy theory with business aspects. What for this role? One, to take the better decisions to gain maximum profits. That is the managerial economics. As per this Michael, the study of how direct scarce resources in a way that most efficient and efficiently achieved a managerial goal. So how the management's goal is to get the profits. So to achieve their goals, how efficiently they are using the scarce resources, this limited resources, is the main point of the economics. So that is the managerial economics definitions. Once if we see these features of this managerial economics, especially this economical way wherever they are thinking, it deals about the unlimited wants, because the people's desires are all unlimited but the resources are limited. Scarce resources means limited. Resources are limited but our requirements are all unlimited. These limited resources has to adopt for this unlimited wants. Means we have to use them in an effective way. We have to use them for multiple purposes. That's why it deals with alternative. Multiple purposes means it deals with choices. And if one thing is, it is no, if one product is not available, then that need has to satisfy with another product. That means it has to choose for the alternatives. That's why once if we see this one, the features of the economy is mainly based on applying the unlimited, satisfying the unlimited wants with the limited resources, and choosing the best alternatives among the scarce resources. That is the features of the economy. So which means this economy is going to be satisfying the four elements into the consideration. Unlimited wants has to satisfy with the scarce resources, and alternative usages for the products with the best choice of the utilization of the products. So that's the features of the economy. And once if we see this one, this economy is categorized into two elements. One is the microeconomy and another one is the macroeconomy. So why we have segregated this one means, so especially if we want to study about the economy, we whatever subject it is, what are the controllable factors in our hand and uncontrollable factors in our hand has to be segregated. That is only segregated as microeconomy factors as well as macroeconomy factors. If you have seen the sim, so micro sim means very smaller factors. So smaller factors accumulatedly will be called as the larger factors, same as. So if we take this consideration of this microeconomy factors, the factors within the organizational levels and are all under the controllable are called as the microeconomics. For example, finance, if suppose organization is spending more funds on one product, can't they control this one? Obviously they can control. So that's finance. Human resources, if any employees are not working properly, they can control. If the employees are working properly and more efficiently, they can promote them. And the marketing aspects, productional aspects, if the production any machinery is not working, and they can remove that one, they can change that one. All this productional, operational, marketing, finance, human resources, all these aspects are under their control. But the government policies are not under the control of the organization. If the government increases the tax, they have to adjust their tax policies. If the government decreases the tax, they need to again increase their tax policies. And the natural disasters, they are not under control of this anyone. And outside the taste and preferences of the people, that may be changes. So all these are all will be called as the external factors. So what I am going to be explaining is the aspects which are under the control of the organization are called as the microeconomy factors. The aspects which are not under the control of the organization is called as the macroeconomy factors. Generally they are categorized as internal factors as well as external factors. So the internal factors are all called as the microeconomy factors and the external factors are all called as the macroeconomy factors. For example, the company got the profit. We got the profit by achieving the more efficient human work environment. If they said like this, then they got the profit by having their microeconomy factors. If a company got the maximum profits due to the government subsidies providing, which means they got the support from the external factors, which means they got the benefit from macroeconomy factors. Suppose if an organization got the losses, we got the losses in this particular year because of the taste and preferences that are occurred or the COVID-19 pandemic situations, we got the losses like this. If any organization has announced, means they got the COVID-19 situation is not under the control of the organization. They got this particular loss due to the macroeconomy factors. They can't control that customer preferences were changed, so that's why the organization has got the losses. So that is called as the macroeconomy factors. So that's why whenever the economy aspects they have to measure, they can measure in two ways. One is in the form of the microeconomy factors, another one is in the form of microeconomy factors. That is the micro and macroeconomy factors, the two types of the economy aspects. Once if we see this one, nature of the managerial economics, first before going to see this managerial economics nature, once if we want to see this measurements of the economy, especially for any country, the measurement of the economy is based on the GDP, gross domestic product, gross national product, net national product, NDP, like this. For any for any organization, if the measurement of the economy is there, then it is based on their balance sheet as well as based on the net worth of the organization. So if the balance sheet of the organization is sound balance sheet, then the organization got more economy benefit. The balance sheet of the organization is showing maximum liabilities, then it shows showing the weak economy factors. Net worth of this one is also based on this one segments only. So that like this, the economy is going to be measuring in this ways. how they will measure means, so they will consider two factors, microeconomy factors and macroeconomy factors into the consideration, and they will measure for a country or the state SGDP, SGNP like this, and for a country GDP, GNP, for a organization net worth, balance sheet, profits, everything is going to be measuring in terms of the economy. Next, if we want to discuss about the nature of the managerial economics, especially it is depends on the very close to the microeconomics. It is very close to the microeconomics means what is under the control of the organization. Microeconomy, obviously microeconomy factors are all under the control of the organization, so that's very close. It is very close to the microeconomy factors means its controllability will be more on microeconomy factors. That's why managerial economics will be very close to the microeconomy factors, and as well as it is operates against the backdrop of macroeconomy factors. It operates on the backdrop of macroeconomy factors, which means it considers the government policies, taste and preferences, demand in the markets, everything they will consider. But where can they control? Obviously on the microeconomy factors. That's why it operates as the backdrop of macroeconomics and works on microeconomy factors. Whatever they have considered the factors under the macroeconomy factors, they are going to be controlling through the microeconomy factors. So that is the one. Next thing is, so after this one, this one, normative statement. Normative statement means which is not constant, where it changes as per the situation. Normative statement means, for example, in a running race, first day today running race has done, the person who got the first place might be came within 10 minutes. Tomorrow the same running race, same distance, same people, but the person who got the first might be 9 minutes only he has completed the task. 100 meters might be completed within 9 minutes. Day after tomorrow, if we conduct the same place, same members, the person who got the first place might be completed the task within 8 days. That is the first day 10 minutes is his economy speed, second day 9 minutes is his economy speed, third day 8 minutes is the economy speed. We can't say that if he completes the task within 5 minutes or only it is an economy speed, he only become a first. Like this we can't say this one. Same as even an organization also, if they got the maximum production based on that situation, that may be their economy. The next time if they, due to this reasons, if they have increased or decreased, that is their economy speed. It is not constant. It depends on the situation to situations. That's why managerial economics is a normative statement but not a static statement. Static means constant, but based on the situation, this economy production will be changes. That's why normative statement. Next one is perspective action. So perspective action means the organization will always concentrates on the pessimistic way, which means in a positive way they will see they are going to be getting the benefits. That's why they are taking this decision. Everything is based on the profit oriented and positive oriented benefits are only, actions are only considering the managerial economics. Obviously if somebody is going to getting the losses means they won't take that option. Suppose there is no demand in the market, can they go for the maximum production means? No, obviously they won't go for the maximum production. So that is the perspective actions. They will seek about the profitable ways. And economical decisions should be applied in nature. So they should not be impossible ways. So even one grain of the food should not be wastage means that's an impossible. All the produced product has to produce without any damage. All the produced product has to sell with maximum high cost. This is the goal means that is not in applied nature. Somehow, somewhat, somewhere they have to lose some wastages, but maximum benefit they have to seek. But that's it only, and that applicable nature elements only has to consider in this managerial economics. Next one, it offers the scopes to evaluate each alternative. That's why if anything is going to be implementing, any decision is going to be implementing, they'll seek about every option. If we go in this productional way, what is the benefit? If not, if we go in another way, what is the profit? What is the possibility of the sales? If we go with another third element, what is the profitability options? That's everything is going to be analyzing in an effective alternative ways. So best alternative choosing is called as the economy. So management will think about this, offers the scope for evaluating each alternative, and to take the better decisions, the managerial economics or the manager should have the knowledge from multiple disciplines, that is interdisciplinary, which means they need to get the they need to have the knowledge from finance department, they need to have the knowledge from production, they need to have the knowledge on operations, they need to have the knowledge on human resources, everything. Human resources, if human resources are working properly, then only they'll get the profit. If the operation human resources are working properly but finance people are not giving the funds, then they won't get the benefit. So which means they require the coordination from one department to another department. If all this works properly, then only they will get the profit. So that is why they requires the cooperation and coordination from various organizations, and they must have the knowledge on the mathematics, they must have the knowledge on the economics, everything they required. So that's why it is the macroeconomics nature is interdisciplinary. So is this summary, we can say that nature of the managerial economics is more control over the microeconomy factors by considering the backdrop of the macroeconomy factors, and it depends on the situation, but not a static. That's why it is a normative statement. It will think in a pessimistic way of profitable positions only, and it should be not an imaginary, it should be applied in nature. It offers the scopes to evaluate each and alternative possible alternative for the best option for the maximum benefits, and it requires the beneficiary from all the other disciplinaries. That's the nature of the managerial economics. So once if we see this one, scope means up to which level it can extend their impact. That is the scope. So as a managerial economics, it studies about the demand, supply, production, cost, competition, what price has to they will implement, what are the profits they are all incurring, investment, where has to invest, where should not has to go for the disinvestments, where how much funds has to allocate, that is a capital budgeting, as well as the production policies, sales promotions, marketing strategies. Each and every aspects are going to be considering under the managerial economics. So all these decisions are under the scope of the managerial economics. So first, right from starting from the production to the product preparation to the end consumption, they need to have the knowledge on the economics, that is which product has to produce. Okay, one product has finalized, how much of production has to take, when has to start, what is the cost of the material, what price has to fix, if they fix that price, what is the profit levels they are going to be getting, if they get the profits, again where they have to invest, which type of machines they have to purchase, and how to allocate these funds effectively, and which market they have to choose for the sales, which marketing segment has to concentrate for the maximum sales. So everything is under the control of the managerial economics. So that's why these are all this become a scope of the managerial economics. There. Once in the nature of the managerial economics, we came to know that one, it is the interdisciplinary, means it has some knowledge on traditional economics. It must have the knowledge on what is an economy, what is an economy concept. They must have the knowledge, and also they must have the knowledge on operational research, operations, productional research, mathematics, statistics, as well as the decision making. All this must should be have the knowledge for the managerial economics. Suppose if they want to do the production, how much of products has to produce, what is the productional aspects, everything is going to be having knowledge with operational research. If they want to produce, how much percentage of productions, how much profits, percentage of sales they had done, in these sales how much percentage of profits they have incurred. So this mathematical knowledge they required. And statistical projections, what is the trend of the particular product sales, what is the demand trends, everything can be analyzes by using the knowledge of statisticals. If they need to take the better decisions, they must have the knowledge on theory of the decision making. So, and the economy, what is an economy, what is the scarce resources utilization, effectivity, everything has to known by them. So that's why that's the theory of the decision making, and all these are all the interconnected decisions, not only this one, all the financial knowledge, human resources knowledge, marketing knowledges, these are also having their interrelated connections with managerial economics. Especially if a manager should have the knowledge on all the subjects, then only he can take the better decisions. That is the relationship, that managerial economics relationship with other subjects. First, we'll see what is the demand, and then we'll come to know the elasticity of the demand. Demand means a value which is assigning to the product based on certain factors like price, place, time, as well as the income of that particular persons. Value assigning to the product based on the price, place, income, as well as the other substitutes which are available in that particular area. Assume that there is a 100 products available in the market, and each person required one product, need is one product, and 100 members are all there to buy the product. Then the price of the product will be 100 rupees. Assume that price of the product is 100 rupees. Then at that time 20 members are withdrawn from the purchasing of the product because they have postponed that purchasing of that product. Now the availability of the products is 100, each requires the one, but the buyers are become 80. Then there is a chance of reducing the price to 90 rupees. So these 20 members has dropped because of the time factor. Then the remaining 20 members were withdrawn because they doesn't have the income. Again the price will be reduced by 80 rupees. Again now the buyers required for this product is 60, and due to the price 80 rupees is a high cost, they might have thought, that's why 20 more members are all came. 20 more members are all came and are drawn because of this 20 rupees price, 80 rupees of price. 20 members are withdrawn the purchasing of the product. Now only 40 members are all there, 100 products are all there in the market. That price may be reduced to again 70 rupees. If we go in a reverse way, if the price is affordable to 70, then 20 members will add, then the price will be increases. If the income levels of the people are increases, then to few more people will be add to purchase that product, again the price will be increases. Again, at that time the people wants that product, then again the price will be increases, which means the value, once if we observe, the value of assigning to the product is going to be increasing slowly due to the price, income, time factors, the even taste and preferences, other substitutable products are all not available at that time, they can go for this one. Then this is called as the demand. This is called as the demand. Demand is the nothing but a value which is assigning to the product based on the time, price, value, as well as competition of that particular product. So that is the demand. So commodity refers to the quantity. How we will measure the demand means based on the quantity demanded for that product. Now 100 products are in demand means high demand. Now only 80 products are all demandable. Previously it was there is a demand for 100 products means 100 quantity of products is having high demand, 80 quantity of the product is having less than the 100, so demand is decreased. And there is a demand for 150 products means there is a quantity demanded is increased from 100 to 150. So that is the measurement of the demand is again in the form of the quantity of the commodities. So here the demand for a commodity refers to the quantity of the commodity which is an individual consumer or the household is willing to purchase per unit of the time at a particular price, at a particular time, at a particular price, based on their income levels, based on their taste and preferences, based on the alternative of the product availability. Everything is going to be taking into the consideration. If that product is required by an individual, then it will be called as an individual product. Or if that product is required by the household, entire family requires that one, then it will be called as household demand. Or if that product is required for the production of another product, if that is a basic product, then it will be called as market demand. For example, at this COVID-19 situation, each one has to improve the immunity powers means they need to consume an egg per day. Egg is an individual demand. If an entire family wants that one, household demand. If that any egg is a basic product for the bread and everything, so bread making and sandwich making, then it will become it as an input for the bread making means it's called as a market demand or the aggregate demand. So like this, the demand is demand is going to be categorizing based on the required persons. If it is required by an individual demand. If it is required by an household demand. If it is required by an industry, industrial demand. So like this it is going to be categorizing, but the demand means a value which is assigning to the product based on the time factor, place, income, taste and preferences, and the substitutes which are available. So that's it only. So based on these requirements, this category of the products were categorized into these many things, that is consumer goods as well as producer goods. Consumer goods means the goods which are required by the individual, which is also called as retail products. Retail products. For example, bread, apple, machinery, cars. If they are all required by the individuals in a single manner, then it is called as consumer goods. If this bread using for the sandwich will become producer good, because bread now become not for the direct consumption. Bread is using for the further products ingredient, basic product input, then it is called as producer product. An apple which is using for the apple juice, then at that time apple will be called as producer goods. Apple which is using for the direct consumption is called as consumer goods, and apple which is using for the apple juice is called as Producer goods. Machineries which are like we are all purchasing the washing machines, ACs, everything. That machineries will be called as consumer goods. These ACs which are using for the cold storages will be called as producer goods. Cars which are using for the individual household is called as consumer good. Cars which are using for the Uber, Ola cabs will be called as they are using for the further services. So then it will become a producer goods. So like this, the goods will be categorized as based on the, if they are required by for the direct consumption, they are called as consumer goods. If they become an ingredient for the another product production, they will be called as producer goods. Then the demand which is assigning to the product based independently is called as autonomous demand, and the demand which is deriving for that product dependently is called as derived demand. For example, we can see that TVs, mobile phones along with the electronic gadgets, mobile phone accessories. Mobile phones are all having the independent demand. Every person wants to purchase the mobile phone. Because of the mobile phone, we are all requiring the internet consumption and mobile phone gadgets like pouches and screen guards. These are all got the demand only because of the mobile phones. If the mobile phone is not there, there is no requirement of telecom regulatory services. There is no requirement of the internet. Maximum, not in maximum. Even through the laptops also we require, but maximum number of the internet users requiring through smartphones. Because of the smartphones, we are all using this we are all consuming maximum internet. We are using this pouches, mobile pouches and screen guards. If so, the demand for the mobile phones will be called as the autonomous demand, and the demand for these electronic gadgets, pouches, internet services will be called as derived demand in these cases especially. So even if we take the example of the super specialty hospital, it is having autonomous demand, but in and around the super specialty hospitals there may be a coconut shop, there is a medical shop, there may be any other shops or hotels are all established. Then around that shop, whatever the shops are all there, they have got the demand only because of this super specialty hospital. So that demand is called as derived demand. Derived demand. So that is the autonomous demand and derived demand. Then durable demand and perishable demand means the demand which is existing for the durable products, which means whose life is more than 1 year or a longer period, then they are called as the durable goods. The goods which are spoiling within 1 year or within 1 week in the unless and until in the preservative manner, then they are called as the perishable demand. For example, milk, vegetables, etc. will be become a perishable products. Then the demand for them will be not much more. If the milk price reduces, we can buy more than 1 liter extra. That's it only. We can't purchase 100 liters at a time. Then the demand which is existing for the perishable goods is perishable demand. And if the demand is increased, if the price of the TVs is decreased or the mobile phones is decreased, then automatically we'll go for the purchasing of them. Maximum number of people will go to purchase these TVs and mobile phones. Even though we have one TV, we want one more TV in this another room. So that's why. So for this one, because the TV will be of having more durable time, it will be long run life. It will be mobile phones will also have the long run time. So that's why we'll keep this one under the durable. Even cloths, best example for the durable products. If the cloth prices decreases, then the people will go for the purchasing of the cloth because it's a durable product. If the vegetable tomatoes price is reduced, how many of us purchasing 100 kilos? No one is purchasing. But instead of 1 kilo, we might have purchased 2 kilos. That's it only. But we won't go for the increasing number of the tomatoes or the onions. So we won't, because they are all the perishable products. So the demand which is existing for the perishable goods is called as perishable demand. The demand which is existing for the durable goods is called as durable demand. And the durable products are the products which are having long run life, and the perishable products are the products which are having lesser time for their lifespan. That is the one. Then firms demand and industry demand. So we must have understood the difference between the firm and the demand. One single company in a particular place is called as firm. That product based interrelated companies are all will be called as industry. For example, there is a cloth shop is there is a cloth shop or a machine, sewing machine is there, machine, that is cloth merchants are all there, that is a firm. Apco merchants, everything, that's a firm. But the cloth has to produce means it has to first bring the cotton has to convert it into threads has to convert it into cloths will be converted into stitched cloths, ready-made cloths selling. And after the products selling, ironing, starching, everything, every business will be comes under the industry. So for example, cement industries, for example, if we take the real estate businesses, real estate business requires the cement, that is cement industry, cement which is required by the entire industry. But cement firm, if one company wants a cement means that cement is required by a company, that's a firm's demand. But entire industry requires this means industry demand, that's the firm's demand and industry demand. And the demand which is existing for the short run time period is called as short run demand. The demand which is existing for the long run demand is called as long run demand. For example, if we take this umbrellas are having the short run demand only in this rainy season. Raincoats, umbrellas, everything will be having the short run demand. But non seasonal products are all there, like food, water, shelter, clothing, non-seasonable, we require them for the entire ones, even mobile phones, electronic gadgets, cars, etc. Apparels, everything will be comes under the long run demand. Again, we can categorize short term demand and long run demand. And the next one is new demand and replacement demand. The demand which is upcoming, for example, in nowadays there is a high demand is existing for the sanitizers, then that demand will be called as new demand. If any old products is going to be replacing with this one, then that demand is called as replacement demand. So that is washing machines with new models, if they are replacing, then it is called as replacement demand. That's the one. And the total market demand and segment market demand means, suppose if a product, fair and lovely product is there, that is demandable by the most of the women, that is a particular gender is going to be accepting that one, then it is called as segmented demand. If and irrespective of the gender, irrespective of the income levels, if all the people requires that one, then it is called as total market demand. Same as example, sweet making industry requires the sugar. What is the demand for the sweet making industry? Nowadays, no people are very few people are going for the sweet purchasing because of the diabetic increasing patients. Then the sugar demand for the sweet making industries is the separate segment, and the sugar is also required by the entire family, means entire demand for the sugar is called as the total market demand, and sugar requirement by the sweet industry will be called as segment market demands. That is its nature and types of the demands. Then what are the factors that are having its impact on the demand means, if the price changes, if the price increases, then automatically demand for the product, what happens, reduces. Then automatically demand for the product will be reduces. If the demand of price of the product is decreases, then most of the people wants to purchase this product, most of the people wants to purchase the product, which means the price is having its impact on the value creation for the product. So that's where price has become a determinant for the demand. Price has become a determinant for the demand. So that is the price. And income, if the income levels of the people increases, then automatically they will purchase the maximum number of products, demand for the products will be increases. If the income of the people decreases, then we will reduce our consumption, then the purchasing of the products will be reduces, direct proportionate. Previously, if the price increases, demand will be decreases. If the price decreases, demand will be increases. Inverse proportionate is was there. Inverse proportionate was there, but inverse proportionate was there. Here all are, except this price, all are having the direct proportionate with the determinants of the product. Income proportionate and expectations about the future. In future, if the product price is going to be increasing, then automatically now present demand will be increases. In future, if we think that the product price is going to be decreasing, now the present demand will be decreases. So that is the future expectations of the price. And taste and preferences. If the taste and preferences increases, automatically value creation for the product will be, demand will be increases. Our taste and preferences are reduced as we don't want that product, we don't want to use that product, then automatically there is a less demand on the product. And the availability of the product is called as supply of the product, which means if the more availability is there, less demand is there, and less availability is there, automatically more people wants to purchase that one. So this is also an inverse proportionate to the demand. And the quality, high quality, high demand, less quality, less demand. So that is also, quality is also having its impact on the value creation to the product and value of the other products. Best to take the example of coffee and tea. If the coffee price increases, then high demand for the tea. If the coffee price decreases, then tea demand will be reduces. Because the prices of the other goods will also have its impact on the determinants of the demand of the product. And also competition, that is called as number of competition, number of buyers. High number of buyers, high demand prevails. Low number of buyers, low demand prevails. That is the competition. So all these competition, price, income, taste and preferences, supply of the product, quality, prices of the other goods, everything will be called as the determinants of the demand. So that's about the basics related to the demand function, managerial economics, and demand and determinants of the demand.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.